Then one year I couldn't find a science teacher. I needed a science teacher and I looked high and low. It was just about at the beginning of the teacher shortage when it got really seriously slim, especially in rural communities. And I couldn't find a science teacher. So one of my community members suggested a teacher recruitment organization. And I contacted that organization and they sent me a CD. Remember those? A CD of all the interviews that they had done of teachers in India. I would have never dreamed that I would go shopping for a teacher in India, but I watched that video on that CD of all those interviews and I picked out one and I was impressed with her professionalism and impressed with her command of the English language, of course. That would be important. And so I called her up. I called her on a scratchy international telephone line. It was awful. Later, she told me she could hardly hear me, and I told her I could hardly hear her, but it felt right, and I just did it. And I hired her right then on and there over the phone. I hired her, sent her an express mailed contract so that she could sign that contract and come to America to teach legally, of course. We followed all the rules. And she came, and not only was she an extraordinary science teacher, but she was also an extraordinary math teacher because I then learned later that they had made a clerical error and she was really applying for a math position, not a science position. It was amazing how it happened. But if the mistake hadn't happened, I wouldn't have hired a math teacher. I was looking for a science teacher. But because of that, today she's still at our school. She's now the dean of students and the director of instructional analysis. So she does all of the data differentiation and making sure that students are making progress. She's what really brought us into the era of data-driven schools, which is now a big deal today. It's a very big deal. So I'm so grateful to her. And she's still at our school doing great and participating in every day in the success of every student that's there. That was 22 years ago.